I never thought the day would come when my phone would light up with her name again. It had been almost a year since our breakup, and I had done everything I could to erase her from my life, blocked her on social media, avoided our old hangout spots, even moved apartments. But there it was, her name flashing on my screen, followed by a desperate text. "Hey, I know this is awkward, but I need help. I'm short on rent and I might get evicted. Please." At first, I thought it was some sick joke. After all, this was the same woman who had torn me down in front of her friends, mocked me for not making enough money, and told me I wasn't ambitious enough for her standards. I can still remember one night, standing in her kitchen, when she smirked and said in front of 3 of her girlfriends, "Honestly, if he doesn't get his act together, I don't know how he'll survive with someone like him." They laughed, and I just stood there, humiliated. That memory never really left me. Our breakup wasn't just messy, it was brutal. She didn't just walk away, she scorched the earth on her way out. She told people I was pathetic, spread rumors about me being cheap, and even accused me of being controlling because I once suggested we budget better when she maxed out her credit card. I swallowed all of it, tried to move on, and promised myself I'd never let her have power over me again. So why, after all that, was she crawling back now? The desperation in her texts grew over the next few days. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. "I'll pay you back, I swear. Please, you're the only one I can trust." The irony of that last one nearly made me laugh out loud. The only one she could trust? This was the same person who made me feel disposable, who made me believe I was a burden. And now, I was her lifeline. When I didn't respond, she called. Her voice was shaky, but still carried that edge of entitlement I remembered so well. "I just need $600 to cover the rest of rent. You know I'd do the same for you." But here's the thing, she wouldn't. If the roles were reversed, she'd have slammed the door in my face and told me to figure it out like an adult. I know that because that's exactly what she did the one time I was between jobs and asked her for help. I told her no. Calmly. Directly. "I can't help you. After everything you said and did, I don't think it's right for me to step in now." Silence. Then she laughed, that same mocking laugh I remembered too well. "Wow. So petty. You're really gonna let me struggle over a grudge? Shows how small you still are." I hung up. My chest was pounding, but also, I felt a strange clarity. For the first time, I realized I wasn't her victim anymore. I wasn't the person she could step on and then come crawling back to when she needed something. But now I can't shake this feeling. Am I the asshole for refusing to help someone who once humiliated and disrespected me? Part of me wonders if it was cold to leave her hanging when she might actually be in danger of losing her place. Another part of me knows that helping her would just reopen wounds I've fought so hard to heal. And the most painful thought of all, maybe she only reached out to me not because she trusted me, not because she respected me, but because she knew I was still weak enough to consider it. After I hung up on her, I thought that would be the end of it. I had drawn a boundary, for once, and I felt like I could finally breathe. But the thing about people like her is, they don't just stop. 2 days later, I started getting texts from mutual friends. "Hey, she told us you refused to help her even though she's about to be homeless. Is that true? Wow, man. Whatever happened between you two, don't you think this is a little heartless?" It was like she had activated her old playbook, the one where she twists the narrative to make herself the victim and me the villain. She knew exactly which strings to pull. She'd done it before, during our relationship, whenever she wanted sympathy. And the worst part, people bought it. Suddenly, I was the guy who left his ex out on the street. Nobody seemed to care about the things she'd said to me, the disrespect, The way Shed laughed at me when I needed help. No one remembered that part. Then it escalated. One evening, I came home to find her sitting outside my apartment building. She looked tired, worn out, but there was also that same sharpness in her eyes. She wasn't there to apologize, she was there to win. "I can't believe you're making me beg," she said, arms crossed. "After everything we shared, after all the years I gave you." I almost laughed. She gave me years. As if our relationship hadn't been a constant battle to prove my worth to her. As if she hadn't shredded my self-esteem, piece by piece. "You don't get it," I told her. "I'm not responsible for you anymore. You lost that right when you disrespected me over and over again." She rolled her eyes. "So you're really just going to sit back while I get evicted? All because your ego's too fragile to forgive me? Do you hear yourself?" That word, ego, hit me harder than I expected. It brought back every moment she dismissed my feelings, every time she told me I was too sensitive or overreacting. I realized then that nothing had changed. She didn't want help because she saw me as a safe place. She wanted help because she still saw me as someone she could control. When I didn't budge, she switched tactics. Tears. Pleading. Talking about how hard life had been since we broke up, how she'd been punished enough. For a moment, I felt that old guilt creep in. The part of me that always wanted to rescue her, even when she didn't deserve it. But then I remembered the night she told her friends I was pathetic. I remembered sitting in that kitchen, staring at the floor, while she laughed at my expense. That humiliation had scarred me in ways she never acknowledged. I shook my head. "No. I can't do this. You need to figure it out on your own." Her face hardened. The tears vanished, replaced with venom. "You'll regret this. I promise you." And maybe she was right. Because the next week, the whispers got louder. Friends stopped returning my calls. One even told me, "She's saying you're heartless. That you let her suffer just to get back at her." The betrayal cut deep. Not just hers, but the betrayal of people I thought knew me better. People who chose to believe her story because it was more dramatic, more pitiful. Now, I'm stuck wondering, what do I do next? Do I keep defending myself against her smear campaign? Or do I just let people think I'm the bad guy? Part of me wants to expose everything she ever said. The insults, the manipulation. But another part of me wonders if that's just feeding into her game. The cruelest twist of all? A small, buried part of me still aches for the version of her I once loved. The version I thought would never treat me like this. And that's the part that makes me feel the most betrayed, because even after everything, she still has that tiny piece of me. The piece that wants to believe she could been different. A week later, I thought the storm had started to calm. I stopped checking my phone so obsessively, muted group chats, and told myself people would move on. But then my landlord called. "Hey," he said cautiously, "just wanted to check in. Your ex, she came by the office." My stomach dropped. "She said she used to live with you, that she has some rights here, and that she should be allowed back in until she gets on her feet." I wasn't sure what to say, but she seemed pretty convincing. "She even had some of your old mail with her name on it." I couldn't breathe. Not only was she dragging my name through the mud socially, she was now trying to worm her way back into my actual home. I rushed down to the office, papers in hand, showing the lease that had my name alone, proving she hadn't been on it for over a year. The landlord nodded but looked uncomfortable. "She told me you were abusive," he said quietly. "That's why she left." "Said you kicked her out." I froze. That word, abusive, hung in the air like poison. It wasn't true. She had left because she got bored, because she thought the grass was greener. But abuse? That was a scarlet letter you couldn't scrub off. I defended myself as best I could, but the damage was done. The look in my landlord's eyes had changed. Doubt lingered. That night, I sat on my couch, staring into the dark, wondering how far she was willing to go. The woman I once loved, laughed with, shared secrets with, was now waging a quiet war to destroy me piece by piece. Then, as if the universe wanted to twist the knife, I got a DM from an old college friend. "Hey man, just checking in. Your ex reached out. She said you're refusing to help her even though she's sick. Is that true?" Sick. Now she was adding another layer. I felt my pulse quicken. What was next? Cancer. Some fabricated illness to get sympathy and paint me as a monster for not swooping in to save her. I typed back furiously, explaining the situation. But as soon as I hit send, I realized I sounded defensive. And defensive almost always reads like guilt. The betrayal cut deeper with every new lie she spread. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about rewriting history. Turning me into the villain in her survival story. One night, I ran into one of our old mutual friends, Jordan, at a bar. He looked at me with disappointment before even saying hello. "You know," he said, "she really needed you. I get that you're angry about the past, but leaving someone to drown when you could throw them a rope, that's not who I thought you were." I slammed my drink down, the sound sharp enough to make people glance over. "You weren't there when she humiliated me. You didn't hear the things she said. You didn't see her laughing while I sat there breaking apart. Do you think that didn't matter? Do you think I don't get a say in how much I take before I finally stop bleeding for her?" Jordan shifted, uncomfortable, but he didn't argue. He didn't defend me either. And that silence spoke louder than anything. Walking home, I realized something chilling. She wasn't just trying to get money out of me. She was trying to erase my version of events entirely. If she could convince enough people, then her truth would become the truth. And I would be left as nothing more than a bitter, heartless man who abandoned her. The irony? The betrayal didn't just come from her. It came from every person who believed her without asking me. From every friend who decided her tears outweighed my dignity. I started to wonder if maybe the only way to fight back was to burn it all down. Screenshots of old texts, recordings of her mocking me, evidence I swore I'd never use because I thought I was above it suddenly felt like weapons I might need. But here's the catch. Once I go down that road, there's no turning back. If I expose her, I expose us. All the ugliness, all the dirt we both swore would stay private. So now I'm sitting here, staring at my phone, thumb hovering over old messages. Do I fight back and risk becoming the villain she's already painting me as? Or do I stay silent and let her betrayal finish the job of burying me alive? Either way, one thing's clear. This isn't just about rent anymore. This is a war for my name, my reputation, my truth. And she's willing to scorch the earth to win. The following weeks were like walking through smoke, disorienting, suffocating, and impossible to see more than a step ahead. Every time my phone buzzed, my stomach clenched. Another message. Another accusation. Another person questioning me about things I hadn't done. My ex had spun the narrative so well it was almost impressive. She wasn't just broke and in need. She was the tragic heroine abandoned by a cruel ex who wouldn't even lift a finger while she fought to survive. And me? I was the monster. At first, I tried to defend myself. Long texts to mutual friends, phone calls to explain, even screenshots when I felt desperate. But I learned quickly that people don't want facts. They want a story. And hers was more compelling than mine. The tipping point came at work. My manager called me in, her tone unusually sharp. "I don't know what's going on in your personal life," she said, "but someone left a voicemail claiming you've been emotionally abusive and refusing to help a sick partner. I don't want drama spilling into the workplace. Understood? I sat there, numb. Shed actually crossed into my professional life. That was the line I never thought she'd cross. That night, I poured myself a drink and opened the folder I'd kept buried in an old hard drive. Every ugly fight, every text where she admitted using me for money, every recording where she laughed about manipulating people. I had enough ammo to obliterate her entire victim act. But as I scrolled through the files, I thought about what unleashing them would mean. Once I hit send, once I posted screenshots, recordings, proof, it wouldn't just be about clearing my name. It would be about publicly tearing her apart. People would see her differently, yes, but they'd see me differently too. No one comes out clean when you drag private hell into the light. I hesitated. My finger hovered over the mouse. Then a message came through on Instagram. A girl I barely knew, someone who had always seemed distant. I just want to say I believe you. She's been lying to a lot of people. I know because she slipped up with me. If you need someone to back you up, I will. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of relief. Maybe I wasn't crazy. Maybe not everyone had turned against me. But before I could even respond, another notification popped up. A tag. My ex had made a post. A long, emotional caption about surviving an abusive relationship, about being left to starve and suffer while her ex thrived. Attached were old photos of us. Her smiling, me looking serious or distant. Cropped just so. Framed just so. And the comments poured in. Sympathy. Praise for her strength. Hatred directed at me. People I hadn't spoken to in years were suddenly calling me a monster in her comments. That's when I broke. I dropped the drink, glass shattering against the floor, and I started typing. Screenshot after screenshot, text after text. Drafting the post that would end this once and for all. I could show them everything. I could make them see who she really was. But my hands shook as I typed. Because deep down, I knew what would happen next. Once I pressed post, there was no going back. I wouldn't just be exposing her, it'd be exposing myself. My flaws, my anger, the ugliest parts of our relationship. It would stop being her betrayal and start being our mutual destruction. And yet, as I stared at her post, the likes climbing into the hundreds, the comments filled with venom, one thought consumed me. If I don't fight back, she wins. If I do fight back, I might lose everything anyway. The real betrayal. That she had put me in a position where my only choices were to be silent and erased, or loud and hated. I saved the draft. I didn't post it, not yet. But it sits there, glowing in my phone, like a loaded gun on the table. And I know it's only a matter of time before I decide whether to pull the trigger.